Thank you for tuning in to Out of the Wild, the Angsty Dad in America podcast. Today we have the second part of my interview with Animal Hotel, my little brother Myles Maxwell. We'll sing some songs. We're going to talk about our favorite football teams, Fly Eagles Fly. I'm going to talk to you about what it means to be an American. Thanks for tuning in. We Out the Wild. Okay. 2017 was a solar eclipse. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Out of the Wild, the Angsty Dad in America podcast. I'm your Angsty Dad, Earl. How are you doing? Well, I hope. Got a lot to talk to you guys about today. Some housekeeping notes. I wanted to remind you guys that hashtag Proud is going to be just around the corner. It should be released not next week, but the week after next. I don't have a date set yet. Sorry. I'm actually doing this show kind of on the fly. I wasn't able to get it. Yesterday, I deleted the show that I recorded after doing it 3 times. So this is me making up for that. So forgive me for the late show, guys. I should say that first. Whoever's listening, forgive me for the late posting. Again, hashtag Proud's going to be out not next week, but the week after. I'll give you guys a date soon. We'll get the advertising going. We're going down to the Pride Festival parade on Sunday, the 19th, and it should be a hoot. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to record our experience. That's that. The second half of our show today will be the second part of my interview with my little brother, Animal Hotel, Myles Maxwell. We're going to talk about kneeling in the NFL again. We're going to talk about gentrification in the CLT, and he's going to play some songs for us. It's going to be pretty dope. Today, I want to talk to you guys about a few things that are going on. When I first had the idea of doing this show, I wanted to do it based on a notion, a question that I had. I instead ended up what ended up polarizing, what ended up moving me was the Donald Trump and Helsinki thing, which I talked about in the first episode. But the question that I had was a simple question, and it was this: what is American? You hear a lot about what's un-American. You hear that all the time, what's un-American. But what is American, right? And who gets to define it? Back to the kneeling thing, I remember having a conversation with a guy on Facebook, and he got very upset, and a woman too. Multiple people have espoused this view, that you're supposed to stand during the Pledge of Allegiance. You're just supposed to. My question is always, why? Well, you're supposed to. Well, who says? Well, it's the American thing to do. But there's no law, policy, or statute that says you have to stand during the Pledge of Allegiance. In fact, that's one of the freedoms of being an American. You can do whatever you want during the Pledge of Allegiance. Like, for example, if you're supposed to take off your hat during the Pledge of Allegiance, but you can keep it on if you want. And then if you're reminded to take it off, you can still keep it on, like old Master Jerry did. But that wasn't in protest. That must be what it is. The protest part of it. That must be it. But people still, they get so mad. But you know why they get mad? Because they say, we've been standing for the pledge forever. So it's a matter of tradition, right? It's a matter of custom. It's a matter of being an American. So that tells me that in order to be an American, there have to be things that connect us, right? There have to be commonalities. That's after all what it means to be anything, any culture, any country. The AN at the end of it, the Italian, the Irish, the African, the Ethiopian, the Indian, that AN at the end of it is what makes, except for Irish, is what makes you Irishin. That doesn't even make any sense. I'm sorry. That was a bad dad joke. That's what makes you part of the country, right? That's what it is to be that in. Canadian, South American, Mexican, Ecuadorian. That's what it is. There's something that connects you. There's something that connects those cultures. So what connects us? What can we agree upon as Americans, right? So the first thing that comes to mind, in my opinion, is that thing that anchors the freaking Constitution to the ground, the very First Amendment. Say it with me. Freedom of speech. It says, Congress shall pass no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. I messed that up, but you get the idea. Freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, freedom from persecution of religion, for religion or anything, freedom of speech, freedom of press, the right to redress the government, the right to redress grievances with the government, protest the government for redress of grievances. So that's something that we should all agree on. It's the First Amendment. It's the very First Amendment to the Constitution. It is the anchor of our society, that thing which we believe in most, right? There's no reason why we can't all agree with that. Except recently there was a religious liberty task force put together by our boy Pence and Jazzy Jeff Sessions. And basically the purpose of this is to defend anti-LGBT discrimination. So basically, the guy who doesn't want to make the cake for the gay couple, they're defending that guy in the name of religious liberty. That seems like a very slippery slope to me. This is taxpayer funded, by the way. In my mind, it's state-sanctioned discrimination. Because the people who are not gay make up the majority. The people who are make up the minority. And somehow they feel as though their rights are being challenged or being... I knew a man, a boss of mine one time said, as a white man in America, I have no rights, Earl. No rights. It's a direct quote. He said that to me. But that's a case. That's the first case. That's a case of using the freedom of religion to oppress someone else. That's interesting. Interesting application. And it's not like there haven't been a long line of LGBTQ plus discriminations by this administration. Like, for example, the Health and Human Services Department creating a conscious division which allows health and healthcare providers to discriminate against LGBTQ plus people. It's pretty crazy. But that's a different story. We're talking about the First Amendment, right? Freedom of religion, practice religion, not be discriminated against because of your religion, right? That's something that we agree on as Americans, right? Oh, wait, what about Executive Order 13769? Remember that one? Executive Order 13769, my favorite executive order. You guys don't remember that one? 13769 EO. You don't remember that? Maybe you know it as the Protecting the Nation from Foreign Terrorist Entry into the U.S. That's the OPNFTEU. You don't know that? Protecting the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the U.S.? Oh, you probably don't know it because we know it as the Muslim ban. You know, that thing that was a ban that wasn't a ban, but it was a ban, that the Donald J. Trump campaign said that they were going to put in place. They're going to ban all Muslim entry into the United States and they can figure out what the hell is going on. Remember that thing? A lot of Republicans supported that. Freedom of speech. What about the press? Of course we believe in the sanctity of the press. Not sanctity, maybe that's a strong word. But it's the fourth estate. We believe that we need it. It helps cleanse the other estates, right? It's what helps keep us in check, interpret the news for us, because they say some shit I don't even understand. Do you? Ben Shapiro probably does because he's a genius. But outside of him, we have to respect the press, right? The sovereignty of it. Or we can insult and discredit it. We can threaten members of the press and encourage vitriol and violence against them. And we can just completely say, fuck the institution. Fourth estate, my ass, let's burn it to the ground. President Trump wants to tighten libel laws, so it impedes upon the press to do their job. Okay, all right, so maybe not the press. We don't agree on that. What about the peaceably assemble part? Peaceably assemble. See, to me, that means like peaceful protest, to redress, protest, redress of grievances against the government. So like peaceably assemble, like a way you could peaceably and silently assemble is maybe put your knee down during a pledge of allegiance because you think it represents, you can't stand for a flag that under which is shrouded police brutality and injustice against people who look like you. But you do so silently and you do so peacefully. But that's not cool. That's not American. That's un-American. What is American is espousing your belief that because of the color of your skin, you're superior and your gender, you're superior to everyone else on the face of this planet. Not only that, a country is somehow owed to you. And when just last year you kill somebody, Heather Heyer was her name, you kill somebody, you're allowed to peaceably assemble again 1 year later. That's crazy. That's an interesting definition. Now I know that only like 24 of these lunatics showed up. But they were allowed to. And there's more than 24 of them who exist out in the world. They were allowed to. They killed somebody under the same name, they killed somebody. It's an interesting interpretation of peaceably assemble. What about the Oregon ranchers? What about them? They were pardoned by the President of the United States. They pointed guns at federal officers. And they walked out with nary a scratch on them. I think one guy got killed, but he started shooting on the cops first. And they got pardoned. So I guess we don't necessarily agree on the First Amendment. Maybe we agree that it should be a thing. Just like voting should be a thing. That's something that we can all agree on, right? It's fundamental to the healthy democracy and a healthy body politic. It's like vitamins to the soul, the body politic. It unites us in our right. No, it's our duty. It's our duty as Americans to vote, right? Except if you're someone like Brian Kemp, who's a GOP gubernatorial candidate, bring in Stacey Abrams, #vote Stacey Abrams, who the New York Times says is a master of voter suppression. They go on to say hackable polling machines, voter roll purges, refusing to register voters until after an election, use of investigation to intimidate groups registering minorities to vote. Mr. Kemp knows it all. End quote. That's the New York Times. And that last thing, the use of investigation to intimidate groups registering minorities to vote, they do so with no charges. There's no indictments that have been made. All they do is intimidate people. That's it. And the people who are part of these groups have admitted that. That's all they do. Donald Trump loves this guy, by the way. The voter ID stuff, they do it in the name of, you guessed it, preventing voter fraud. In Georgia, interesting, in their state house and in their state Congress, state house and Senate, Republicans control 64% of the state House of Representatives. They control 66% of the state Senate. Whites in Georgia are less than 60% of the population, but they make up more than 90% of the people showing up for GOP primaries and voting. That's crazy. And did you also know that 2016 was the first election in 50 years without all the protections of the Voting Rights Act in place? There were 17 states that had voter restrictions in place, including Arizona, where voters had to spend up to 5 hours at polling places across the state because polling locations have been cut by 70% over 8 years from 08 to 16. It was a cost savings directive, says Doug Ducey. He also said, if people want to take time to vote, they should be able to, and their vote should be counted. Yes, I agree, Doug. I'll give you 3 guesses as to the types of neighborhoods where these polling places were closed. By the way, Donald Trump also likes Doug Ducey. Imagine that. So we got Brian Kemp, Doug Ducey. Then you probably heard of Chris Kobach. Chris Kobach is running for governor, I believe, in Kansas. Chris Kobach has been sued by the ACLU so many times because his entire career is basically predicated on him trying to prevent people from voting. That's like literally his thing. It's his calling card. Also, Trump is a big fan. Did you know that in June, the Supreme Court upheld Ohio's efforts to purge voter rolls? So basically how it works is this. If you don't vote in a federal election, you get a card in the mail. If you don't respond to this card or vote over the next 4 years, the state is right to consider that you probably moved, and therefore they remove your name from the voter roll. And that was written in the majority opinion written by Justice Alito. So that's crazy to me. That's all that it takes. In North Carolina, House Speaker Tim Moore wants to put photo ID requirements in the state constitution. Why? If you guessed to prevent voter fraud, again, you'd be correct. He's probably, and I don't know this for certain, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that if Trump knows about him, Trump probably likes him. This is North Carolina. This is the very same state that targeted black voters. This is a quote, with near surgical precision in an effort, that's end quote, near surgical precision, an effort to suppress and otherwise disenfranchise the black voting. And by the way, a Board of Elections audit of the 2016 election revealed that only one instance of voter fraud would have been prevented with ID. One instance. Not 1%, one instance. In North Carolina, they also cut out a week of early voting. They are blocking 16 and 17-year-olds from pre-registering to vote, and they ended same-day voter registration. They're trying to put voter ID requirements into the state constitution. It'll be on the ballot this November. HB 1092. Vote no on HB 1092. Hashtag vote no HB 1092. Let's make that viral, people. Okay, so obviously we don't agree on voting. We don't agree on the First Amendment. Oh, man, what do we agree on? What's something that we can all get behind? Oh, how about Russians? We hate Russians, right? Russians are the bad guys. Have you ever seen Red Dawn or played Grand Theft Auto San Andreas? I've never met a Russian, but I know when I see them run away or something like that. Russians are the bad guys. Ronald Reagan said, tear down this wall atop a fucking bald eagle with red, white, and blue stripes. We don't like Russians. They're antithetical to our very way of life, right? Except we now know that the Russians interfered in our election to help Donald Trump and hurt Hillary Clinton. We know that Putin wanted Donald Trump to win. We know that Trump appears to admire Putin and never, ever will say anything bad about him. We know that Trump has begrudgingly waffled on sanctions against Russians. We know that everyone around Trump has met with the Russians and lied about it. We know that we've caught and indicted several Russian spies with tampering. And I could go on and on and on and on. And I also know that when Donald Trump stood next to Vladimir Putin in Helsinki, as I've said before, 88% of Republicans were still behind him. So we don't agree on the Russians either. Okay, all right. How about this? We hate Nazis, right? Come on, the Russians were the bad guys, but the Nazis are the big bad, right? Adolf Hitler with his little mustache. We fucking hate Nazis. That's like American as hell, right? We hate Nazis. Except we don't. Except we allowed them to march and kill someone last year. And they were allowed to march again this year. We fought them. The greatest generation destroyed them. And we also because of the Great Generation, we fought against totalitarianism and authoritarianism, and with the help of France, Canada, Great Britain, we put together the post-World War II institution that up until very recently was still in place, which still, I guess, technically is in place, but it is on weak legs because this president stated that those who participated in the Unite the Right civil rights rally, they were equally culpable to those who showed up those who showed up to protest against them. That's what he said last year. This year, he didn't have much to say. That you're wondering, how's that tied into the post-World War II falling apart? Well, listen very closely what's being said. This is how it falls from the inside. Another thing, we have several white supremacists, self-identifying white supremacists running as Republicans everywhere. Russell Walker in North Carolina, his website is littered with the N-word, or they either ran or were running. His website is littered with the N-word. He calls Jews satanic. Arthur Jones in Illinois, he's a Nazi and a Holocaust denier. You have Corey Stewart in Virginia, who advocates pedophilia against his own daughter. You have Paul Nealon, who actually lost yesterday in Wisconsin, but they said it was too racist for Twitter. And don't forget Steve King. What it all comes down to is this. There was a study done by Stephen V. Miller of Clemson, Nicholas T. Davis of Texas A&M. The study shows that when intolerant white people fear democracy may benefit marginalized people, they abandon their commitment to democracy. This is from NBC. So basically, they studied groups of whites and found that those who didn't want immigrants or minorities as neighbors also favored military rule and strongman-type leadership. That goes back to thinking Mexicans are rapists, thinking dictators are cool. Mexicans are rapists, and there may be a Trump recording of Trump having said the N-word, but Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin and Duterte, or however you pronounce his name, from the Philippines, they're all decent people, because tradition of democracy goes hand in hand with the tradition of authoritarianism. Think about it. When this country was founded on conquest, its first order of business was to subjugate the people who were different. That goes all the way down to it's always existed. Even if you look at, oh God, it's just incredible. The Trail of Tears, just the Indian genocide, just slavery, Chinese on the railroad, internment camps for the Japanese, hatred of Muslims, now it's the post 9/11. Even the Irish had their turn. Nixon used the Southern strategy to demonize blacks and weaponize white resentment, and that came all the way down to today. You can draw a direct line from colonization to Donald Trump. And why? That's all because of that Miller and Davis study. It's called the World Value Study. By the way, it was taken over the course, I don't know if I mentioned this, 1995 to 2011. So it was before the rise of their leader. Something I want you to keep in mind, guys. What does it mean to be an American? What is American? Well, it depends on who you ask, I guess. But my American is different from your American, and that's something that you should keep in mind at all times. Be respectful of that. So if I don't stand during the pledge, instead of telling me to stand, ask me why. I just gave you almost 20 minutes worth of reasons. Stick around for the second half. We have my little brother, Animal Hotel, for the second half of our interview, our talk, live here in the Native Wild Studios. We out the wild. So you write about topical stuff too. We're from the CLT. We've been down here for a number of years. The city has changed a lot. What's your least favorite part about Charlotte?
The gentrification.
Yeah.
The movement of you take people from one area and you raise the prices on everything around them. You may not even necessarily raise the price of their houses, but you've made the cost of living ridiculous.
Yeah, you price them out.
There's that, and then with them leaving, you reduce the culture that's in it, the culture that we have. Like somebody at work was telling me the other day, they went to some Colombian festival, I want to say it was, and she was really disappointed because like she was trying to go there for like the culture and everything like that, and it was just like a bunch of booze and some music, and it's like, what is this?
Right, it's like a watered down version of it's like what Cinco de Mayo's become.
No, I mean Cinco de Mayo shouldn't be as celebrated as it is. It was like a battle in a small city in Mexico.
Yeah, yeah. People just even St. Patrick's Day is another one. Those like we kind of cling on to these ideals for the sense of like identification, I guess, and that's holidays in general. But specifically, Charlotte's kind of been racked by gentrification.
No, definitely, absolutely.
Yeah. How do you see it on a regular basis?
Well, I mean, I work in the city. I work uptown. I live on the west side of town, so driving through so I moved over to South End when I was probably 23 years old.
Yeah.
When South End wasn't South End. South End was just like, people wouldn't want to necessarily stay too long at my house because they're afraid of getting, their shit broken into, or anything like that. Now you go over there and it's just like a freaking, like, I don't know. I think of Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner, because when you look at all the homes in Blade Runner, they look exactly the same. And that's what Charlotte's become. All the apartments are the exact same.
Well, Charlotte's been like that for a long time, though. Everywhere you look, the suburbs or the sub-communities or whatever they call them, popping up with big, beautiful pools and gates and shit. And again, trying to keep the people who don't belong there, don't look like they belong there, out. That's kind of been a Charlotte thing for a long time.
Right.
And then they're surprised when people talk about, disparity and inequality that exists in our... Charlotte, I feel like, is... People hold it up as an example of the southern city, but it's just as unequal as a lot of other places.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's just... I don't know. I think the biggest problem with inequality, I was reading Dak Houseboy Prescott's comments the other day about how it's like
Dak Prescott gets no love on this show, and that will continue to happen.
Well, he's also no love on this show. It doesn't matter what he said; he's a cowboy, so he's not.
Well, that's strike one. Yeah, I'm saying from there, like, this is 2 weeks in a row where Dak Prescott's been called out on this show.
Well, he made those comments which were clearly fed to him by his owner. I'm sorry, not his owner, but the owner of the Cowboys. Yeah. Right. And then when he tried to back it up, like this week or last week, whenever he did it,
I stand by what I said.
He was like, I strongly stand by what I said, but he kind of contradicted what he was saying. It was just like, I understand what it was for, and it's just like, you should have done something to raise it. I don't remember exactly what he said, but just like how.
Well, it's basically a riff on that whole argument about, I don't mind that you're protesting, I just don't like the way that you're doing it.
Right. Well, he also lives in Texas, so... Right.
Protest is not supposed to make you comfortable, people.
Right. Rosa Parks definitely stood on a fence to protest busing.
Right. Lost it there for a
Martin
second.
Luther King was calling his governor.
Yeah. You have to be active. Like, you have to be doing something. It's not meant for you to be comfortable. All right, why don't you play another song for us?
You got me fired up right now.
There you go. Let's say something fiery.
Something fiery.
What's this one called?
This one is called... What is this one called? Old America. There you go. That's
awesome.
what it's called.
Yeah, come a little closer to the mic.
You say you said for nothing, a generation of bliss, waiting on an unearned pay. If it's the point you're missing, it's just like I'm listening and wanting things to stay the same. This is no loving story, you've had it just a glory, and we are here to save the day. If our skin and love offend you, then you can go and fuck off, cause this is we would never change. I remember when I had my dreams in my head, in the world in your wake, left I'm completely dead. This ain't no message that you can condone, so we'll wait till you're awake, then we'll cut off your tongue. Don't need to be hostile, don't want to get shot by trying to make our voices heard. For the sake of preservation, we will only protest when the make is us the word. When I was a child, I can sing by myself, with the love of my family and friends on my way. Now as I'm older, my morals have been for a life you own nothing, in time you must rent. And it's cold as a winter blows, but they're feasting on our fears. All these words are flowing down like mine, but they're falling on deaf ears, and that ain't enough. Where do we go from here? Hello, old America, yes, you're the new minority. The king says she marched you is no longer the authority. Corruption is a royalty, and greatness of a war, just sick and lying through. Never on a loyalty. Patience is a virtue with that trust with you, but always teach you by the time and come before it real. Vacancy, your policy, the hypocrisy. That is not a permanently when you scavenge for your cause, you don't understand novelty. Bury the work, bury the thought, paraphrasing, thought for God. Bear my own experience, then the compression softly knows now. Fix your feet as a fan till under you consider the damage for you. One of the negative damage, every real, don't care with the blame. You did it like just a rare interest on the ring. You claim to be eagles, but arguments is all from that they're gonna ring because they're in sequels. We represent your innocence, but we're turning the other cheek. So being away with your high horse, like only what you need. Woo!
Very nice. Why don't you play something else?
Thank you.
Still feeling fired up?
God, I don't know if I have any more. Angry songs.
We could tone it down.
No, let's calm down a little bit, right? Actually, this is another song about growing up in this city, so.
This town that I like to say that I'm better than keeps dragging me back in. She's fulfilled my needs with those pleasantries and folks who call themselves my friends. And sure, I'd like to show her that it's over now, but I can't keep hanging on. I'm so sick of feeling tired, man. I can hardly find my mind. I'm always smoking weed on 50-hour weeks. I'm pretty shocked to find the time. But better men have faltered. I'm hanging on, but I can't keep trucking on. We got a little taste of moonlight here, so maybe we should call this home. And suddenly my words brought her to tears. I have a tendency to go on and on and on. Or at least that's what she said. What she said. Because to face this world and its wicked ways takes a shot or two of five. My life is what I'm making, and I'm doing fine, just doing what I like. Alright.
So let's talk about the NFL some more. We talked about Hasselbeck Prescott.
Okay.
Will you be watching this season?
Yeah, I will be watching this season.
Tell him who your team is.
I'm a New York Giants fan.
That's right. He's a bitch-ass New York Giants fan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. How many Super Bowls you guys have?
We have the most recent one.
You have the
most recent one.
Yeah, well,
Fly Eagles. I got the ring in my bag. AJ gave it to me last week.
I'm aware.
Fly Eagles, fly.
I appreciate it.
I would like for you, actually. So last week on the show, you listened to the
Yep.
So last week on the show, we told the story about that fateful game, and AJ exaggerated a little bit. There were 300 people in that.
No, there were not. Brent could not fit that many people. 1, 2. I was not the one that was talking shit.
No, you were.
I specifically said
I said that.
You did. I specifically said I will not talk shit to you because I know the crazier things that happened. Because we did the same thing against Vince Young like 2 years before that.
I was talking shit.
You were talking
so
shit.
Salty.
And that other Giants fan at the bar, that douchey guy from New York. God, this is why we have such a bad rap, because of guys like him.
We do too. I mean, we ate. Some of our fans ate shit in the street when we won the Super Bowl. In all honesty, though, if you've gone that many years without winning a Super Bowl, like there's like,
oh, totally.
If you want to eat shit, eat shit.
At that point, I feel like you're more a part of the team than a lot of the players on the team. Well, the bench players on the team.
Well, even some of the stalwarts too. Those fans in the city of Philadelphia have been waiting for a Super Bowl for longer than Carson Wentz or anybody on that team has been alive.
Yeah.
Like, and it's most of the coaches too. Like, I don't think Doug Peterson's like 50, 52 maybe. I don't even know how old he is, but he can't be that much older than the time it's been since they won the championship.
Yeah. What Super Bowl was that? 52.
This one that just passed.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's been a long time.
And I mean that's assuming that the Eagles have won the last NFL championship. Yeah, I think that was the Packers.
And I saw like last year someone posted, or maybe it was, I don't remember what it was. Someone's like, "Yeah, well, the Eagles were winning championships before the Super Bowl." It's like, please stop.
Yeah,
please stop. You're embarrassing us.
Did the person that posted that, were they alive during that time period? No, because they wouldn't have used social media. So.
Right, exactly. So how do you think the Giants are going to do this year?
I think we're going to do better than we did last year. I don't know. People sleep on Eli, and it's just like he's the most disrespected. He's the most disrespected quarterback in that. He's basically like, if you take away fan voted awards or voted upon awards, Eli Manning and LeBron James have the exact same career.
Speaking of LeBron James, I don't want to talk about him going to LA. I want to talk about, what do you think? You heard about what Donnie Jamal Trump,
our boy Donnie
T,
our boy Donnie.
I like calling him Donald Jamal Trump.
Donald Jamal.
I feel like that would like really piss him off if he ever heard that.
Oh, God.
My name is not Jamal. Everyone knows the J stands for jackass.
I knew you were going to say that. He, the guy that decided to tweet about the interview that was about LeBron James opening a school for underprivileged kids,
right,
the same week that a facility that was opened because of Donald Trump led to the death of a child.
Right.
And you're criticizing this man for calling
dumb.
you out. Yeah, he's dumb.
Well, it's just I don't see. I was reading things. They're saying there's like racial undertones. He said that he's dumb and Don Lemon's dumb. I don't know if it's right. I mean, he does. Obviously, he has disdain for black people. He has disdain for women. He obviously has disdain for Mexicans.
Yeah, look up the Central Park Five for anybody that disagrees.
Yeah, but it's not exclusive. He's anyone who disagrees with him. It doesn't matter what color they are. He's going to insult them.
Yeah, no, that's the thing too.
He's going to insult.
It's basically, and I'm actually not sure if it's the Central Park Five. I can't remember.
No, that's right.
Number. Was
that's
it 5?
Right.
Yeah. So there's a book that I've been trying to read for the past 2 years now. I just keep getting distracted by other books that you actually gave to me called "In the Garden of Beasts."
Yeah.
It's basically, well, it's not basically, what it's about is an ambassador goes over to Germany during the rise of Hitler. He's already been elected as a council. He was appointed chancellor. I think the year that the ambassador gets there, and then there's a bunch of violence to immigrants and Jewish people and everything like that. Reading that story, if you replace the word Jew with immigrant or with like Hispanic, anything like Mexican, that, it is basically a play-by-play of what this country is going through.
I'm trying to tell y'all
in like chronological order as well.
Well, I always say these things take time. I'm not saying, I even said in the show earlier, I'm not saying that we're full-blown fascists. You don't go full-blown fascist, all right?
Right.
It happens in trickles, in increments. Just keep your eyes open, y'all. Big Brother is always watching.
Yeah, well, Sailor is watching us right now.
Yeah, but we're saying fuck Big Brother. Yeah, this is some that rebel shit. You can tell we're brothers. We have a good banter. What's one of the craziest? So we have another brother. He's in the military. Shout out to J Max man, Justin Maxwell.
He's afraid of nothing.
He fears nothing. What? Tell someone a story that you remember about us growing up that's funny that you don't mind sharing.
Oh God. I deserved a lot of the bad things that you guys did to me. I'll definitely say that. I will finally admit that.
Okay.
I did.
You all heard that. That's on
pee on
here.
Justin while he was rolling down a hill one time.
Say that again?
I chased Justin down a hill peeing on him while he was rolling. I am not ashamed of that, and I'm very proud of that moment because...
proud?
Well, soon after, he chokeslammed me on a concrete floor, so I deserved it, so I can take credit for that now.
I'm trying to think of some. What's another good one? There's so many.
You want some money?
I'm not going to tell that story. No one even knows about that. I have to cut that part out. That's such an inside joke. There's no way anyone would get that reference. I don't even know.
Oh no! Please, let's tell that. Okay, so we this was back in 2003.
It's like we saw the Return of the King.
That's what we were going. We all went out to dinner. It was you.
No names.
Okay, so we went out to dinner, and Justin was talking to some girl at the time, and I can't remember what she said that provoked this response.
We went to get pizza before the movie, and we had bought some pizza, and she didn't buy anything because she didn't have any money. And Justin was on the other side of me, and I kicked him and offer to buy her stuff. And what does he say?
You want some money?
He's smoothened up his game since then. He's married, 3 kids, beautiful family.
Beautiful family. Live in Hawaii.
Live in Hawaii.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so like jokes on us.
Right. At the end of the day. And then we all made the mistake of not going to the bathroom before that movie.
Infernal movie ended.
4-hour-long movie.
8 endings.
Jesus.
Great series, though.
Yeah, it's a wonderful series. I
Great
recently
series.
watched it again with Joey.
Lord of the Rings, Joey Navarro, shout out. That's the second time he got dropped on the show. Pursued by a Bear, Chapter 2, coming soon.
Yeah, he just finished it yesterday.
I know. He sent out where a bunch of his friends are reading the final draft, and myself included. I'm really excited for the release when it comes out. Hopefully, Joe will come back on the show when it comes out. We keep mentioning what we used to do and stuff we should probably tell them about what we used to do.
So I used to be a spy.
Right.
No, we had a band when we were younger. This was we started out in 2009. It actually started with me and one of my old friends. Literally the day that high school let out, we went back to his house, his family home, and just picked up some instruments. We're like, let's start a band. And we took... So, funny story. So we were singing the song Time of the Season, and we were listening to the song.
It's the time.
What's your name?
What's your name?
Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy?
Baby. So we were listening to that song. We were singing that song all day. And then we went up to the soda shop up in Davidson, and it was playing there.
And so you're like...
And we took that as a sign. We're like,
it.
let's do it. So then a few months later, Earl joins, and then, we go through 1,017 drummers.
Yeah, really that's an approximation.
It was basically like Spinal Tap.
Yeah, drummers. We had a lot of drummers.
Oh, my God. Even so much so that Giuseppe became a drummer.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, so those were the days, man.
We were Slow Motion Riot. We used to play out. Where's some of the places that we played?
Well, none of them are existing.
They're not what they were.
So, okay, so
the Chop Shop is now
Chop Shop's
apartments.
gone.
It's in Noda.
Yeah, Tremont is now just an empty lot. Amos's is the gin mill.
The saloon is something else. Small Bar, though.
Small Bar's still there.
That's where we got our start.
There we go.
Small
That's where we got
Bar
our
is still
first.
there, but the Music Factory's not even called the Music Factory anymore.
Well, it's still the Music Factory.
Well,
it's
it's
not
the Avid Exchange.
Avid
Music
Exchange
Factory.
Music Factory, not NC Music Factory.
Which is different, but I guess the places are still there. So yeah, that's where we kind of sharpened our skills.
Mm-hmm.
That was our first scene, messing around there. And Charlotte's changed a lot since then.
Charlotte has changed a lot since then.
The world has changed a lot since then.
The world has changed a lot since then.
All right. Why don't you
do it in the road?
Why don't we do it? No, why don't you play us one more song? Anything you want to tell the people out there? Anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to throw? Oh, I'm sorry. What am I thinking? I'm going to have to cut all that little rambling out. So if you listen to the show the last few weeks, you know my little segment that I like to do. You know what it is?
Yeah, the pop-up
top
thing,
5. Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
All right,
he gave me just the strangest, like, creepiest look. He just laughed.
Well, I like to pop up top 5 because it catches people off guard. It's interesting to see what people's reactions are.
I was hoping you were going to forget about it, but continue.
No, I almost did. I almost forgot about it. So Myles, just like AJ, interested in a lot of things. We love professional wrestling, comic books, music, obviously. So I'm going to make it a little bit simple, but a little bit throw you on this spot. I want you to give me your top favorite bands from 1985 till today.
Oh, well, we know number 1 is Portugal the Man.
Okay.
That's been... And if you've known me for the past 5 years, I've been just drowning you, beating you to death with it.
Insane. Yeah,
You're
they're dope.
Yeah. So, in no other particular order, I would say Pearl Jam.
And give me a brief reason why.
Well, Pearl Jam, the album 10 is just one of the most beautiful
Classic.
things. Yeah. When we saw them in concert back in 2012, and they played elderly woman behind a counter in a small town, which I guess now is just elderly woman. It's been shortened down to that.
Time
Yeah.
ago.
Okay. Well, and that was just one of the, like, when you go to a concert, you need to feel something.
Right.
And that was the first time I can remember feeling something at a concert. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. Coldplay was the first time I remember feeling something at a concert.
Coldplay was dope.
When they played...
Same summer.
It was the same year. Because that was the day before Halloween. Coldplay was the day before 4th of July.
Right,
so the 3rd of July.
As that usually happens.
I would put Coldplay.
up there. Just there's just so much emotional weight to their music.
So that's number 3.
That's number 3.
So Portugal the Man, Pearl Jam, Coldplay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
are
4.
we just doing bands, or can it be like musicians? And does the genre matter?
Genre doesn't matter, but let's keep it to bands.
Okay.
Let's have 3 or more people.
So I mean, like Jack White in and of himself is like.
Okay, I'll take that because he's been in a bunch of different bands.
Yeah,
I'll take
and
that.
I mean,
Rockin'
and that's
Chairs,
why,
Bush
because like
Lights.
he's just so
talented,
dynamic and
yeah.
just like he's all over the place, man. Fell in love with the girls playing earlier today, and I just lost my shit at the office.
Yeah, it's a good song. All right, number 5.
Number 5. I would say number 5 is probably Taking Back Sunday with an honorable mention of Brand New.
Ooh, honorable mention. That's the first honorable mention. I definitely agree with Taking Back Sunday. I love Taking Back Sunday, as you well know. So why do you like Taking Back Sunday? Why are they in your top 5?
Oh, because they're just amazing. Like I think they were the perfect teenage angst while I was going through my teenage years.
They're still. You're an angsty dad.
Yeah.
Taking Back Sunday.
And listen to them. But the thing about the reason why I give, because I would say that they're probably 5A and Brand New's 5B, because Brand New, I feel like they grew up as I was growing up. Their
What is it? The Devil and Jesus Are Raging
The Devil and
Inside
God
Me?
Are Raging Inside Me is one of my
Classic
favorite albums of all time.
Classic album.
But you know, Jesse Lacey is a terrible person, so.
Oh yeah. Was that child molestation?
He was jacking off in chat roulette in front of a child or something like that. Like,
that's just fucking disgusting.
Yep.
Okay, well, we always end on like such notes. Oh well, recommend something for us. That'll bring it up.
Okay. Recommend.
Could be a book, movie, music, anything.
The band Beach House. I think everybody needs to listen to Beach House.
Okay. Any specific song or the album title?
The song PPP on the album Depression Cherry. Listen to the entire album
Depression Cherry?
Depression Cherry.
Beach
it's
House?
a great album.
Okay. All right.
Are you limiting me to one thing to suggest?
Well, it's usually one thing. You can suggest something else.
Keep on going.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's keep it to one then, just for brevity's sake.
Right, because I can go on for like an hour.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. So why don't you bless us with another song, and this will be out. Thanks for coming out and chatting with us tonight. Animal Hotel. He's gonna have some music up on the internet here pretty soon. What's the name of your first EP gonna be?
I don't know.
Okay, that's a great title.
That's actually the title
of working. I don't know. Working title.
I don't know. Yes, Volume 1.
Yeah.
Volume 8.
Myles Maxwell, my little brother, also known as Animal Hotel. Why don't you play us 2 little songs? Get out of here.
Okay.
Introduce them.
All right. Well, this is going to be a throwback to since we were bringing up our old band,
Slow Motion SMR days.
SMR days, which you know about it.
Hey.
This is a song about all my other songs during that time period, and it's called "The Heartbreak Song."
Just the other day at the corner store, you didn't smile or even wave. You don't love me anymore, but that's okay, I'm doing fine. Just thought that you could be a friend of mine. We never got to say goodbye. You didn't need me, you don't need me. If all these words are true, I'm not saying they are, but they are. Well, then it's all because of you. All my songs seem to be about heartache. All my songs seem to be about heartbreak. My songs seem to be about heartache and you. Every time I close my eyes, I used to wish that you were here, because I had another the other night and she didn't quite compare. But that's okay, she did just fine, and better yet, she's still a friend of mine. We never have to say goodbye. She doesn't need me, she won't need me. If all these words are true, I'm not saying they are, but they are. Well, then it's all because of all my songs words are true. I'm not saying they are, but they are. Well, then it's all because of you. If all these words are true, they are, they are, they are. Well, then it's all because of all my songs seem to be about heartache. All my songs seem to be about heartbreak. My songs seem to be about heartache and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and all my songs seem to be about heartache. My songs seem to be about heartbreak. My songs seem to be about heartache and you.
One more? Okay.